Hello. Yoav is already posting some fun things, I'm sure of it. There is the link if you would like to join us in 5 minutes. We'll be going live in 5 to talk about 1 Kings chapter 1. Wow, starting a new book. How exciting. See you in 5. Hello, everyone, including Yanni. What a treat!
Oh my gosh.
Wait, where is your hair? Was the last time a wig? I'm so confused now. What is going on?
Cut his hair for the summer.
Okay. All right.
Yoav knows.
Do you? Yoav, do you know?
Did you take it, Yoav?
If I know what?
Why his hair is short, or if his hair is actually long? What is going on?
Is this a lots of love situation? Did he send it to you in the mail?
Okay.
I shaved my head commemorating proposing to my girlfriend.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Sorry. So is this good or bad? Because shaving one's head is oftentimes like a sadness thing. Is this good? It went well. Muzzle tough.
It's a sign of fidelity, I guess. You could say it's sad when you're marrying someone you don't want to.
Okay. Well, Chezi is a big fan of your background. Should be known.
Well, I'm here basically just to tell a quick story because it's like I had a joke, and the joke was that I'll be fast. The joke was that I was going to try to convince you guys by the end of Kings that Solomon is the Trump of the times. He's Trump in Israeli biblical times.
Okay.
And I didn't realize how right I was. And it's I mean, I could talk forever. I could do a presentation on this. But
He was
man,
the best
when
king,
I read
the wisest king.
we're gonna build the best temple. It's gonna be the greatest temple in the history of the world.
What a temple. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Dude.
Everything's plated
I'll
in
just tell you.
gold. Didn't pay his workers.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you the best part was because I was reading Song of Songs because I have to get some information. I want to prove my thing. And Song of Songs, as you know, is a duet between a man and a woman, between Solomon and a woman.
I thought it might be
time,
because you're getting married. It's a good thing to read beforehand.
is it?
Ladies love.
The fifth line in the first chapter, in the first part of Song of Songs, the woman describes herself. Do you know what she describes herself as? Melania Amy. I am Melania. You guys, it's unbelievable. She describes Solomon as Lilkos and Pyros, which means white, and Pyros means like fire. What color is fire? Fire is orange. He's the orange man.
Yes. Somehow white and like fire.
The internet, they're stopping me.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us coming over before you leave? No? Can you guys hear me? Am I heard? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yoav, a special holiday welcome to you too. This weekend, do you have any plans? Are you going to eat a whole lot of dairy and cheese? No?
No, I'm lactose intolerant.
Are you? Then what do you do for the Feast of Weeks? What does a man do on a milk feast?
Yogurt.
Okay, all right. Frozen yogurt then. I hope you have plenty. And in line with that, a bizarre planets align. We are today going to be talking about the death of David. And that is believed to have occurred on this feast that's happening this weekend, the Feast of Weeks. It's considered David's birthday and death day in Jewish tradition. So we're gonna jump into the text, unless anyone else has anything to share. Anybody? No? Awesome. I swear, Yanni, aside from the shortness of your hair, did you dye it? I swear it was like dark before, but now it appears white. No? Am I wrong?
No.
Okay.
Maybe because he wore that dark cloak. You're just thinking of like
Oh.
him with darkness around him.
I don't trust men who dye their hair.
I think that means you don't trust blondes. It would take a lot of effort to dye my hair.
I was gonna say this is coming from a natural blonde himself. He doesn't. He doesn't trust the bottle blondes.
Yeah. Yes. And this, Chezi, I've wanted to talk to you about because there's a bunch of parallels with the death of David and Pentecost in the New Testament. Pentecost makes connections to the Feast of Weeks. Like it's the same thing. And there's references to some of the Jewish traditions that Christians don't notice. And I'd love to talk to someone about it. But alas, that's nice. But alas, we are just jumping into our regular text, which is a new book. Cassandra, would you be so good as to read for us about spooning?
Yes. Now King David was old and advanced in years, and although they covered him with clothes, he could not get warm. Therefore his servant said to him, "Let a young woman be sought for my lord the king, and let her wait on the king and be in his service. Let her lie in your arms, that my lord the king may be warm." So they sought for a beautiful young woman throughout all the territory of Israel, and found Abishag the Shunammite, and brought her to the king. The young woman was very beautiful, and she was of service to the king and attended to him, but the king knew her not.
Fun. Did you purposely read "Let a Young Woman Be Sought"? You read that almost seductively, almost, Cassandra. Was that intentionally?
I mean, this is just the vibe from this whole situation. It's weird. He says he didn't know her, but I guess it's like, why does he need like a young hot girl? That always mean. I guess it's because like he can't get warm on his own, so he needs someone else's body heat.
Yeah.
I mean,
why couldn't they get like a fat guy that sweating all the time? Like, that might work better,
Yeah, like a really
job.
Yeah.
Seems like a job for one of his mighty men.
Or a dog. I was thinking like this is like what pets are good for. Like if you had like a big dog or cats or something, they put out a lot. They put out a lot of heat, and they love to cuddle you.
That's where the band Three Dog Night gets their name from. In some cultures, if it's cold enough, you have multiple dogs in your bed as like little heaters. But I think what they should have found is a like a woman going through menopause, like a large woman going through menopause, because they overheat, like the overheating, like if it's maximizing heat in the bed.
Yeah, or Dawn made mention of bed warmers. Yeah, I've seen them. They have like the metal things that you put coals in, and you put it in the bottom of your bed, and now you have a nice warm bed.
Yes. Okay, so this.
Stop overthinking it, guys.
Go ahead, Yoav. Go ahead.
The name is not Abishag, it's Avishag.
Avishag?
Avi being my father, and Shag being something.
Avishag. Okay.
What's his name? Chezi is making reference to this one midrashic interpretation of it, that because David cuts the corner of Saul's cloak, it's like his blankets won't work. It's like it's a long-standing tradition that's one of the reasons why. It's like in the end it kind of comes back to him that he disrespected the clothes. Yeah. But that she is hot will come back, I promise. I promise it's not just like thrown out there. That she's hot does come back.
Well, I mean, I guess it's like it's a part of a status thing, right? Because it says that she's beautiful, 3 times? It says that in this one paragraph?
It's very important. Yeah. Does anyone have anything else they want to throw in about this?
Why is it important that the king didn't know her, that he didn't sleep with her?
Yeah, so I have a whole theory about this, which is that some people really push that it's to keep up appearances of his fecundity. King's power was seen in their ability to continue to have children. And so if he's sleeping with a young thing, it would give the appearance to others. But there is actually a more important bit, is that she will be fought over by the children. There's a tradition that she is in fact the Melania that Yanni was discussing previously. There's a whole tradition that she is the wife, like the wife that he loves in Song of Songs. It's debated because it's not stated directly.
Really? That's strange.
Why is it strange? Tell me your mind.
That is, well, no, I mean, okay, so I know, so the thing is, like, with obviously the role that plays later on, well, it's weird because him not sleeping with her kind of doesn't factor in so much because, the son that's asking for her, he's making the power play of wanting, like, to pull the Absalom move, to sleep with his father's harem, essentially, which is almost like the assumption that, this is like a narrative element that they're letting us know, that it doesn't necessarily mean the people then, not like, the assumption probably was that at least it was the appearance that David did sleep with her, and that's what whichever one of the brothers it is, he was looking for that conquest as a to strengthen his claim. Like if she's just a virgin, then she's actually less valuable in that particular instance.
Yeah. So there's huge questions as to what this means, because in some situations, sleeping with the king's consort gives you a claim to the throne, right? Which we saw previously. But in this, there's this other way of doing it, which is like, you can get this image that she's like a nurse taking care of. It's like a guy falling in love with the nurse that takes care of his dad as he's dying. Like they have this. It's kind of beautiful, like a affectionate relationship, depending on how you read it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I think I said when we were at the Bathsheba thing, after the whole thing with Bathsheba, and the prophet comes and says, that Solomon's the one that's born and God's pleased with him, which seems to be the indication that he is, like, chosen for a special purpose, presumably to take David's place. I think that that necessitates David and Bathsheba actually having a more they do have other children after Solomon. So I see it as, because it's this moment of repentance for David, that, we can presuming he was more or less monogamous with Bathsheba after that whole ordeal. I think he lost for, all the aftermath.
Yeah, I got most of that, though you started being a little bit of a robot by the end. I think, yeah. There is, again, it's a complicated text. I'm appreciating the complexity of it. Cassandra, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, well, it's interesting to see it as what you're saying about, like, a show of fecundity. Because I remember when I first read it, I was just like, oh, David's not a dirty old man. So to me, that seems positive.
Yeah. And that's, so my Hebrew professor, or not, it wasn't a Hebrew professor. It was an Old Testament professor when I was in university. He argued that they were sleeping together. And I was like, look, the text, so this is a major interpretation, but I pushed against him because it tells us specifically that the king knew her not. And the text is not ashamed of all the people David slept with. So I don't know why it would include that detail if it's here because he's sleeping with her.
It's because God imposes impotence on the elderly creeps so that they can't defile the young ones anymore.
That does happen. That happens with what is it in the Sarah situation? It's either Sarah or Rebecca when the one patriarch pimps out his wife. It says that they were made unable to touch her. Like, well, what does that mean? Welcome back, Sartori.
I should have known. That's like a dead spot every time that I go through. So,
That's all right. That's all right. Yoav, you have to have thoughts, Yoav. This is stuff you love.
I have thoughts. First, I posted the song.
Yes.
And the song is a love song from David to Abishag. And he says, "Stop hinting at me. I simply cannot anymore." So that is the interpretation. Now, what was her job? Wait on the king. The word as it used is the word that in modern Hebrew would be used, translated as an agent, like a house agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I still wonder why. I mean, if you repeat 3 times something, you might be hinting that you actually mean something else. Because, okay, you say something that you want, that is just a statement of fact. You say something twice, you want to stress it. If you repeat it 3 times, then you might be wanting to think, well, it's not exactly this, it's the other thing.
Yeah.
And I'm leaning at an interpretation of just fat. I mean, if you want a woman that will keep you warm, I mean, in ancient time, pretty and fat will be quite close to each other, not opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Plumpy.
Thank you. Matt, do you have anything else you want to throw in at this stage?
Just kind of spitballing a question here, but is there, I guess, a possibility, since this is somebody they sent in to live with the king, who the king knew him not, are they creating a point of succession, recognizing that succession is pretty fraught? This is one other way of shoring up his legitimacy on top of others. So it's almost like the expectation is that whoever the inheritor is going to marry this girl as a way of giving her an additional, on top of just the being a biological descendant of David, you're also taking one of David's wives. That's 2 points to strengthen legitimacy amidst all your other brothers.
Yeah. I think all this stuff leads to the tension of the text as we're gonna continue in it. I think that's all legitimate. Okay, let's go further in. Cassandra, please.
Now Adonijah, the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, "I will be king." And he prepared for himself
just getting a lot of
chariots
circles now where everybody's faces were.
Sorry. Okay, he's back. Okay,
chariots and horsemen, and 50 men to
Hear
run
me?
before him. His father had never at any time displeased him by asking, "Why have you done thus and so?" He was also a very handsome man, and he was born next after Absalom. He confirmed with Yoav the son of Zeruiah and with Abiathar the priest, and they followed Adonijah and helped him. But Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei and Ray, and David's mighty men were not with Adonijah.
Okay, so let's pause here for a second. So there's a division of these, like, yeah, you can see this succession. People are going to be battling it out. I will be king, and this notion, he exalted himself. This is very bad. Okay, you want to be told you're king. You don't want to make yourself king. You want everyone else to say that guy is the guy. And it seems like he's preparing almost a coup, because he's prepared for himself chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him.
That's part of the Deuteronomy laws. You should not exalt yourself above your brothers. Like maintaining not getting too big for your britches is a big deal. It's part of the laws, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Look at that also. Again, and he's handsome. He's a good-looking dude. Why do we have to know how attractive all these people are on a scale from 1 to 10? But he was also a very handsome man, and he was born next after Absalom.
Well, we know that the people are very partial to things like, this guy is the tallest. Obviously, he should lead us. And
Right.
David was handsome. And so, the shallowness of the people, I guess.
Love it.
This is pretty privileged.
But the king is kind of an icon. Like, I think it's another point of potential legitimacy. Like, if you've got the pure Democrat, if you got 3 kings stacked up against one another, and you pick the weakest, sickliest one, you need to have a good reason for it, I would think. You got to justify that and work harder to do it, because it doesn't look as kingly as the rest. Also, do we get any comments on Solomon's appearance anywhere?
Yeah, well, he's in the Song of Psalms there with his arms like pillars of ivory and all that stuff, or whatever, Yeah,
his body is carved out of ivory.
That's effectively beer goggles. That doesn't count.
I don't know.
That's a good point.
Well, what do we know about the importance of being the richest guy in the world versus the handsomest, according to, the evolutionary psychologists and Homath and all that?
That's a good point.
True, but he's not the richest guy now.
Yeah.
They're all the richest. Any prince is the richest.
Yanni, what were you about to say?
The joke is, what about patrilineal inheritance is so hard to understand? Like, I can't believe. Like, I thought that 2 Samuel had a lot of conspiracy stuff. They conspire in the first chapter of this. It's amazing. So the question is, what about patrilineal inheritance is so difficult to understand? First, it's Amnon or something. Absalom kills him. And then Absalom dies. So now it's Adonai. What is so hard about this sequence of... man, the internet's really bad, I guess. What about this sequence is so hard? Why do they have to say, well, they literally incept into a dying old mind that Solomon should be king? That's...
Okay, I'm glad he actually introduced it, because that is about to come up as a possible reading. Because whether or not inception occurs is going to be... I love that has been introduced. It's a great way of thinking of it. Who, Yanni? Okay, welcome back, Yanni. You zoned out for a second. I think your inception point is very good. We're going to get there in a second. Where it becomes complicated, though, is that there's multiple mothers. So you can say, well, the firstborn inherits. You say, which firstborn? Right? There's a firstborn of each household. Which one is the strongest, right?
Yeah, it's the polygamy problem. And just noticing this is the same thing that happens with Jacob's wives, in which the one that actually inherits is like there's this process of whittling out the first, second, and third born before you finally get to somebody who gets a decent amount of prominence.
Yeah.
And that polygamy introduces that chaos into your patrilineal inheritance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And
yeah, I
Jo-
mean, I would say that whole thing of just like, where like you have like a rule about the birth order and stuff like that. Like that stuff is not present in the biblical text. That very much seems like the sort of convention that somebody would develop so that there are not disputes. But I mean, it doesn't seem like at any point, uh, because you always have these younger sons getting chosen to inherit, like all over Genesis and stuff. That it's not, the choosing is not based on age or birth order or whatever. It's not the criteria. So. So yeah,
yeah.
you got to make your case, like. But
Yeah.
I think there are other parallel that comes into play is because there is that thing where like Solomon is obviously somebody who's chosen by God for an important role, even as an infant. Brings to mind Rebecca, with her prophecy about Jacob and Esau, and the older serving the younger. And when does she employ? Because it seems like that's something she keeps private. She doesn't tell her husband until she finds the way to implement that and make that happen, through
Right.
her
Right.
trick or whatever. So.
Right.
I think young God had a very, very good point. First about inception, then this is going to be the theme of the book. The Israelites just did not believe in simple inheritance. And I think a lot of trouble, I mean, the whole book would have been spared us if they did.
Yeah. Anything else before we continue on? Where we'll get to Yanni's inception. Great term. Especially when it's an old man. It does feel kind of weird, doesn't it? If you plant an idea in an old man, like you could convince him pretty easy, I think.
I do have one kind of question because effective, like the text is very clear that Solomon is also, in some sense, Uriah's son, and there's some kind of like Levirate law stuff that goes into play. Is there a sense in which David has to give, or is somewhat obligated to give the kingship to him as a way of restoring Uriah's line?
I don't see him as an extension of Uriah.
Is he? I don't think he really is. I mean,
Oh.
because there is that for the first son who is born and lives and then dies. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that would kind of
Okay.
fulfill that obligation in a way.
Which is why and also the first son would have been conceived as a bastard. And
Which
so
is, yeah. I mean, it's also just because, like, yes, Solomon is the oldest among the siblings that he has, but he's not a firstborn.
Right.
Hmm.
Yanni,
Interesting.
go Yanni.
Man, my internet is really bad right now, but I just wanted to point out that this is probably the answer. I mean, I don't remember you explicitly stating it, but this must be the answer as to why Uriah the Hittite is the last word, the last term of Second Samuel. So it's like the foreshadowing. So yeah.
Yeah, of that one chapter that we went through, right? I think it's the second last one, but yeah, it's definitely leading up to all of this as issues. And this is also why Yoav shared a delicious take that he thinks Solomon was the baby and that they just hit him and that he didn't die because he couldn't inherit. That was Yoav's theory. It's a fun theory. But we're just going with the text as is.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who was the king's scribe?
I don't know.
Must have been mentioned sometime.
Yeah. It is in
Is that the guy? Is that the guy who had Joe Biden's auto pen? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's written. It must be written.
Yeah, but
I'm not very good at looking those things up.
yeah.
I googled it and it just says Shiva, also known as Shavsha or Saraya, served as royal scribe under the king.
Okay.
Oh, 2 Samuel 20:25.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh yeah, Shiva was secretary. That's what it says.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's continue. Just finish this one little section. Yeah, Cassandra, will you read just 9 and 10?
Adonijah sacrificed sheep, oxen, and fattened cattle by the serpent stone, which is beside En Rogel, and he invited all his brothers, the king's sons, and all the royal officials of Judah. But he did not invite Nathan the prophet, or Benaiah, or the mighty men, or Solomon his brother.
Yeah, so there seems to be something intentional about this. Like it's not. There's a couple of things where I think we're not supposed to think this is fully innocent. Yoav, what's the deal with this serpent stone? Is that it's difficult to read this translation and not be like, that seems like a bad place to be making a sacrifice.
The serpent stone.
It's a bad translation, isn't it?
It's the Crowley, as in I forgot the name of the recent television show series, but the serpent in that series was called Crowley.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's a British television series about an angel and a devil through history, and they get to be friends at the end.
Oh yeah, Good Omens. Is that what you're talking
Yeah, Good
about?
Omens. So the devil is called Crowley.
Okay.
So it's the Crowley stone.
You know.
It's not the serpent stone. It's the Crowley stone. So it is a strong hint.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sacrifice fat oxen by the stone of Zaholeth,
yeah,
which is by En-Rogel.
yeah. Zochelet means crawling. I mean, it's a crawling stone. It's not a snake stone, but it's a crawling stone. It's sinister enough.
Right. Yeah. So if you look it up, it says feminine, active, principle, crawling, i.e., like a serpent.
Yes.
A
So
boundary stone.
it's not literally a serpent, but it's close enough.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to make that connection. It might be how they translate it into Greek as well, and that's why we have it that way.
So it's like creepy.
The creeper,
Yes.
yeah, the creepy stone.
A
It's the
creepy
creepy
stone.
stone, yes. Yeah, exactly.
That Yanni exhale. Tell us.
Well, so hopefully the internet won't fail while I speak. But the point is, I remember a long time ago, we were at church, and something happened in the middle of the mass. There was a guy there who looked like he wasn't from around here.
Mm-hmm.
And he had bare feet. He didn't have shoes on. And he was crawling towards the tabernacle as if he was attempting a great effort of contrition. He was just slowly crawling towards the tabernacle. And so because I've seen the crawling with my own eyes, I understand.
Mm-hmm. I like that, the crawling stone. Yeah, because it wouldn't necessarily be bad. We also have Canaanite descriptions, and I know it's somewhere else where Leviathan is described as the what is it? Is it described as, it's not crawling. What is the term? Okay, I'm just gonna leave it there, but I'm just gonna say that's a bad translation. It's the slithering stone, I guess, if we want to try to make it sound evil, but it could just as easily be just image of contrition. Yeah. Oh, Cal knows about the serpent mounds. That's fun. Yanni, you have to know about the serpent mounds, don't you? That seems like a requirement for you. Yeah, he knows. Matt is going to look them up later. It's fun. It's fun conspiracy stuff. Go nuts. Cassandra, please read on.
Then Nathan said to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, "Have you not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, has become king, and David our Lord does not know it? Now therefore come, let me give you advice, that you may save your own life and the life of your son Solomon. Go in at once to King David and say to him, Did you not, my lord the king, swear to your servant, saying, Solomon your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne? Why then is Adonijah king? Then while you are still speaking with the king, I will also come in after you and confirm your words."
Oh, okay. So look at the structure there. It's fascinating. They don't say remind. This is exactly why Yanni was saying you could read it as Inception. It never says remind him of this thing that we said. We only get it in quotation marks, which is what you would say whether or not it was true or a lie. Right? What is the intention here? Now, Nathan's going to come in and confirm it. It says, but this is leading the witness, as they say. It's like, or I can't remember what the term is when the two witnesses have spoken beforehand to make sure they have the same story.
How many sons do you think? How many wives do you think David swore to that their son would be king? Like, when they came in looking pretty good or whatever.
Baby, I swear, it's your kid. Your kid's going to be the one.
Yeah, you might have said it to all of them. Who knows?
Yeah. It is interesting, though, because also this image of him making the sacrifices, I think we are supposed to take as a negative thing, because that's an area where Solomon got in trouble for. So is he crossing some sort of a line, or is it good that he's doing this offering? I don't know. And Nathan,
it seems performative, and I mean the fact that he's excluding some people clearly makes it like a performative thing. So whether it was, explicitly, like he might have done everything else looking the right way, but I think the intention it's a virtue signal. It's not a genuine sacrifice.
Yeah. And
How do you tell that though? I mean, sacrifice is a performative act, and say like David bringing the ark into Jerusalem and sacrificing every 6 steps. Seems excessive, I would think.
Yeah. But it's interesting that they don't invite the prophet, right? They don't invite the priest, and they don't invite the prophet. You keep them out of here.
Interesting that the beginning of Saul's downfall is a sacrifice that they started before the prophet arrived.
Right.
I mean, basically that whole list. It's like everybody that's the greatest supporters of the current king. They're not invited. The people that probably would have, had some beef with the whole thing or whatever. So I mean, it's really, it seems that it's just, it's a very strategic partition of who's invited, who's not. Like,
Title is misspelled. Fine. Yanni, you were.
I mean,
You
I
were
think
checking.
I think that they're just having a party. Let's assume that this is. I mean, how do I deal with this? They're just having a party because he assumes he's going to be king. He's the next in line, patrilineal inheritance. He's going to be king. Okay, let's have a party. And then somehow the prophet, deep state prophet, is like, yo, 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 wait. We have our guy over here. God told me, he whispered in my ear that this is the actual guy. And I think that the most impressive part about this is that, spoiler alert, is that Adonai accepts. So Adonai knows that the deep state will kill him. And that doesn't even help him in the end. So this is just a dude assuming that everything is going to plan. Oh, now I'm king. And then he's going to be told the news. Slow down, buddy. You're not going to be the king.
Yeah.
I don't know. When it says that David doesn't know, I'm wondering, first of all, it seems like David never knows what's going on in his kingdom. Like, it's not just the active conspiracy. It's like his sons are going out and being king and politicking, and he doesn't know what's going on. But then also with the
they didn't. It's because they didn't have cell phones.
Yeah, but he's throwing this party, and he doesn't invite certain key people that you think he would try to draw to his side. And so,
including David.
It made me think of the fairy tale. Isn't this is this what Sleeping Beauty was?
Yeah.
They had the party and they didn't invite Maleficent. And
yeah, every time I heard about a party that other people were happening that I didn't get invited to, it was never good. It was never a good thing. So,
but okay. So this is an important element, at least. So Don is asking why they're doing this while David is still alive. We get a sense from the beginning of the story that the king is impotent to some extent, like his ability to reign. He is an old man. He's not even able to be warm anymore. And so he's seeming to give the power to one of his kids, and they all know it.
It's Vince McMahon's famous line, "Perception is reality." So,
but okay, going back to the people invited and not invited, it's interesting that David was not invited to the king. He doesn't even know what happened. Yeah,
he doesn't know what's going on in his kingdom, which maybe is another sign. I mean, I guess they didn't have retirement. He couldn't just say, "It's time for me to step down." Yeah, or maybe he waited too long.
Yeah,
I mean, he could have made clear his succession plans earlier. He knows how fraught that sort of thing is. I think some of this is, again, paying for work David didn't do.
I guess it seems like he doesn't want to make those kinds of decisions because, like with Absalom, he didn't want to. It seems like he didn't want to take action against one of his sons because who knows who's going to be the next king. He's waiting.
Right, but that's a vice of David's character.
Yeah, I mean,
you
go right back to the beginning. You got Cain and Abel, and God says, "I choose this one," and it's bad every time. Choose. It just you got to keep those things. You keep the cards close to the vest there.
Well, and Nathan has revealed himself to be seems like a good guy mostly, but still, I understand the accusation of inception, and I want to represent it well.
Yeah, well, it's also interesting that there's this theme. There's this theme of going behind the back, and just like what you were saying earlier. I think Michael brought up, was it Jacob and Esau? Mm-hmm. Because the prophecy between them was vague. It never said that the older would serve the younger. It was like a circle prophecy and it could go either way. Two nations against each other in your womb, and she picked Jacob. And then she made it happen also when he was old too and blind.
It does say the older will serve the younger, but I get what you mean. She's making that happen though. It's not. I guess she's picked her horse.
Because I was wondering, because it said that the father favored Esau, and I was like, well, was he not realizing what was going to happen then? Because he was still going to give the blessing and everything to Esau. But when I looked it up, it said that the prophecy had a vagueness to it.
Okay, yeah.
And
but I also think it doesn't Isaac is ever privy to the prophecy. Like she got it from, where'd she get it from? The midwife or something, right?
From the Lord. It's when she's
Okay.
having difficulty in her pregnancy.
The Lord tells her. Yeah, it doesn't ever say that she tells her husband. I mean, and that's not surprising. Women are like that sometimes.
Well, yeah.
Could
well,
also be the husband just didn't believe her,
Yeah.
Well, or it's always
which
the
is
thing.
that's just deliberate ambiguity.
I mean, the whole thing of like incepting ideas or whatever, like that's like, before our modern time when we all just said, yes, the women are the ones in control. Everything was the women tricking the husband into thinking that he came up with the idea that was her idea all along. Like that's just the way that it goes. So, I mean, if we call that inception,
Well, that's why women are always called witches too, because they're always like convening in covens and whispering secret things to each other that no one else is privy to. I remember.
Mine's real, though. Mine's real, okay? Cassandra, would you continue for us?
So Bathsheba went to the king in his chamber. Now the king was very old, and Avishag the Shunammite was attending to the king. Bathsheba bowed and paid homage to the king, and the king said, "What do you desire?" She said to him, "My lord, you swore to your servant by the Lord your God, saying, Solomon your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne. And now, behold, Adonijah is king, although you, my lord the king, do not know it. He has sacrificed oxen, fattened cattle, and sheep in abundance, and has invited all the sons of the king, Abiathar the priest, and Joab the commander of the army. But Solomon your servant he has not invited. And now, my lord the king, the eyes of all Israel are on you to tell them who shall sit on the throne of my lord the king after him."
Okay, let's pause 1 second. I said before that the priest was not invited, and it sounds like that the priest was.
There were two of them.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, so there is a priest that is invited. Yoav is also invited, which we all know is bad. Yoav, I find it so interesting that you have the name Yoav. Because he's not a nice guy.
I want to comment it. This is the first and last time that Yoav, the commander of the army, is losing control of the army. Because Yoav went there to one side, while all the heroes in the army are with the other side.
Yeah.
It's suddenly the famous tactician, the veteran, the one who knows everybody since they were little boys, suddenly he makes this obvious mistake of going by himself without assuring that the army is behind him. And getting to know him, also the last book, I would say it's absolutely intentional. There's no way he had made this mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was setting Donia a trap.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
Double inception.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Double inception?
No, he was sort of... Everybody was part of... everybody was in it.
It is also interesting because Abishag is going to come back, and it specifically lets you know that she's a witness to this conversation. So there's some intention in because the one son is going to ask for her to be his wife, and so he asks one of the witnesses of this conversation, to be on his side. Don is saying this is like a spy movie now.
Yeah, and it is. I referred you to this famous Israeli theater play. It was exactly about this scene. Yeah. And David, as we know him, he also waiting for this word of God. I mean, he's used to getting the command directly from God. He is just sitting there waiting for God to tell him what to do. And now they're forcing his hand quite deliberately. And it's a master play, the way they were playing him. I'm just breathless about the beauty of it.
Well, and I told you guys my theory, which is that I think Nathan the prophet is David's son. There are some traditions that say it could be, because we have Nathan as the name of one of David's children. It first appears in the name of a genealogy of just what his kids' names are, which I think is Natan is a short form of Yonatan. So it's like naming his best friend, naming one of his children after his best friend. And then that could add even more intrigue, more elements to this conversation, because Nathan the prophet may actually be David's child.
All right, just to add a little bit of intrigue to that. While I was looking up stuff yesterday about all this stuff and whatever, I was looking up Nathan, and Nathan makes an accusation towards David at some point, which is regarding a lamb that was killed. A lamb that was killed from a poor person as opposed to the rich person who has many lambs. And this lamb was actually kind of used to keep the man warm, like the girl,
Yeah.
like
In
whatever
his
the girl's
arms.
name is.
In his arms.
Abishag. So the coincidence is so fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's without a doubt a tie to that previous story. That's very good.
I mean, in Chronicles, it says that David's son Nathan is the son of David and Bathsheba, which means likely makes it seem like he's actually named after the prophet, especially if you think seeing like they've maintained this relationship, this friendship or whatever, since the beginning.
That's an interesting perspective too, because it lets you know that David is on Nathan's side. He doesn't see him as like the guy keeping him in line that he hates, right? But that one that he has deep affection for, a friend that calls you to the mat. Good times. Let's continue on so that we can maybe, just maybe, finish this chapter. Where were we? I think we're at 21.
Otherwise it will come to pass when my lord the king sleeps with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon will be counted offenders. While she was still speaking with the king, Nathan the prophet came in, and they told the king, "Here is Nathan the prophet." And when he came in before the king, he bowed before the king with his face to the ground. And Nathan said, "My lord the king, have you said, Adonijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne? For he has gone down this day and has sacrificed oxen, fattened cattle, and sheep in abundance, and has invited all the king's sons, the commanders of the army, and Abiathar the priest. And behold, they are eating and drinking before him, and saying, Long live King Adonijah. But me, your servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and your servant Solomon, he has not invited. Has this thing been brought about by my lord the king, and you have not told your servants who should sit on the throne of my lord the king after him?"
I gotta say, guys, I don't know, Yanni, you tell me what's what, because they are definitely making it so that David is reminded, without a doubt. But because Adonijah is definitely doing fishy things, he does seem to be rising up like a usurper, and so it is making this seem. Like, it seems like Solomon is the side we're supposed to take. Is there any hint that we should not be taking Solomon's side? Like, it does seem like this is crafted and deliberate influence peddling and everything else. But the other son does seem like he's a usurper. Am I wrong?
I think that's narrative framing, but if he were there on the day, it would be much more ambiguous. This is a read from the future about how things turned out, but I don't think it'd be quite as easy to tell the difference in real time.
It depends on if you remember other things. I mean, there was a time in the previous books, where it's like, you know, the young men are going to be young men. They're going to kill each other. Things happen, blah, blah, blah. And if you believe this, you can just assume, oh, okay, so you got a young man. He's brash and whatever. He knows his brothers are dead. Of course he's going to assume he's going to be king. Why would he assume that he's not? That's the problem. Everyone has known for years that Prince William is going to be King of England. If for some reason Charles is like, you know what, his third cousin is going to be king, that madness.
Yeah.
It would be crazy. So this is how I approach it. It's that everything is obvious, and then there will be some scheming, some machinations to change history, as they say. And the problem is that, you know, in the end, even if you say, okay, should we side with Solomon? Apparently, that's not good enough, because God ends this in a couple of generations, you know? It doesn't even count. So there's so much to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to monopolize time.
It is. I mean, it is also. This is the first succession of one king to another in the history
That's
of the
a
country.
good way to say it. Yeah. The first time you actually have succession. Yeah, that's a great point, because the things that are a given to us, I don't think are entirely a given at this point.
Yeah, I'm curious that we haven't, so far in this story, we haven't asked God. Like, we don't have a story where they're like, we asked God what to do, and then he said this. So are they not asking, or is he just not talking back to them? And this is supposed to be something.
This is part of the big deal. So this is why it becomes a question of who's supporting who. Because Nathan has showed himself to be a person of character in the past. And Nathan said, you swore to God. Where is it? Does he actually say it? Yeah. My Lord, you swore to your servant and by Hashem, your God, saying, but that's her saying it, that's Bathsheba saying it, not Nathan.
She's saying Nathan's words.
Yes. But it is saying that he swore to God. And I gotta say, I tend to think God is on whatever side. Like, knowing that Joab is showing up to this guy's party also leaves a bad taste.
I mean, you know, honestly, I feel like David's the guy that wrote Psalm 139 there, and talking about, before I was knit together in my mother's womb, you know me. And then the prophet comes and says, this baby's the special baby. Like, I think that probably had like a big impact on you know, that's what I mean. I think we have to assume a different trajectory of the whole life of, you know, David from that point, and like, you know,
That's beautiful. Oh, I'm sorry. I just remembered now. Congratulations, Mr. Sartori. Mr. Sartori is going to have a child, possibly a junior.
Probably not a junior, but
so congratulations. Just in the middle of this conversation about children, I just remembered. I just watched that video, and much congratulations are in order. I really like that Matt said this, though. Is Nathan having Bathsheba speak so he doesn't have to lie? Great. You made my clean theory more complicated. Good job.
Is that a promise that he only made to Bathsheba? Like, Nathan can't say it. If he didn't say it to Nathan, but he did say it to Bathsheba. You know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They have 4 children together. That means that at least 4 times they you know, got in that situation. So
I thought Michael was going to give us a lot of details, because, guys, this is child number 5. He knows, or child number 6, I should say.
For the Nathan thing, I think if what he said wasn't true, it wouldn't have come true, right? If we're following. following other logic. That's just because a prophet's words won't hold if he's a fake prophet.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, he says like, well, yeah. So what does he say? He says like this is the one that God's pleased with. And it doesn't say like he's going to be king or whatever. But well, wouldn't you want the one that the child that God is pleased with to be the one that is leading the country? Because then the country's going to be in good hands. You know, like.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue on. What a great time I'm having. I'm having such a good time. Did we finish that verse? I'm not sure. Sit on this.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Okay, excellent. 28, go ahead.
Then King David answered, "Call Bathsheba to me." So she came into the king's presence and stood before the king. And the king swore, saying, "As the Lord lives, who has redeemed my soul out of every adversity, as I swore to you by the Lord, the God of Israel, saying, Solomon your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne in my place. Even so will I do this day." Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the ground and paid homage to the king and said, "May my lord King David live forever."
Oh, this is so good because this statement is saying that she's not in this act. She's trying not to be a usurper. She's not going to, right? Because if Solomon is made king, then won't they just off David so that it happens faster? So this statement is one of service and love.
Okay, important comment. What David is saying is, I don't remember a thing, but if you say so, if this is true, then Solomon should be king.
Yeah,
Which is also a thing that husbands regularly say to their wives. I don't remember saying that, but if you say so, I guess we're gonna go.
That is, if that is in fact what I did, then I am sorry. Okay. Continue, Cassandra.
King David said, "Call to me Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada." So they came before the king, and the king said to them, "Take with you the servants of your lord, and have Solomon my son ride on my own mule, and bring him down to Gihon. And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet there anoint him king over Israel. Then blow the trumpet and say, Long live King Solomon."
Okay, pause 1 second. The riding the king's animal, right? Like there's this image that no one else is allowed to do it, which is connected with another thing. We'll just say that. Like when Samson has his wife taken from him, he says, "If you did not plow with my heifer," is the way that he talks about this, right? Like, so the idea that this animal would be virgin except for to the riding of the king, right? Is something that's happening here by putting him on the mule.
Okay, I think I understand what was going on. According to me, if you go back to the story of Bathsheba bathing on the roof, whatever, there was a deal between David and Bathsheba to begin with. There was a war going on. Everybody wanted the war. David stayed in Jerusalem, and he was just waiting for the right time of the month to come and visit Bathsheba. There was a deal, and she was making no fuss of it. There was a deal before them. The beginning of the story is that promise. The story started with the promise. And then they had the first baby, and then they had the second baby, and this is Solomon. And now she's saying, well, remember that promise. Now he cannot admit to that promise. That will be admitted that that was premeditated murder to begin with. So he cannot admit to ever making this promise. But Nathan knows, because Nathan is the one that blew the story. Nathan knows about it.
Fascinating. Okay, let's keep going, shall we? Verse 35 is what we're at.
I just have one minor comment before we go in, because it appeared and I noticed it.
Go
which
ahead.
It's just the fact, and this will appear later in the future because of the zeitgeist, but the point is the word Christos with anointing.
Anointed one, yeah.
So it's just because there is a categorical error when someone says that Christ is like Messiah or something. That's technically incorrect. Christ is the physical act of anointment. And so the fact that in the Greek it shows it here, I just had to make a little reference. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, one is anointed king. That's good. Yep. Which is why, yeah, that's why it's the Christ, because he's the anointed one, and that's a kingly role, but that's other roles as well. It's not just king that would be anointed. Continue, Cassandra, please.
You shall then come up after him, and he shall come and sit on my throne, for he shall be king in my place. And I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and over Judah. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada answered the king, Amen. May the Lord, the God of my lord the king, say so. As the Lord has been with my lord the king, even so may he be with Solomon, and make his throne greater than the throne of my lord King David.
Keep going.
So Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Kerethites and the Pelethites went down and had Solomon ride on King David's mule, and brought him to Gihon. There Zadok the priest took the horn of oil from the tent and anointed Solomon. Then they blew the trumpet, and all the people said, Long live King Solomon. And all the people went up after him, playing on pipes and rejoicing with great joy, so that the earth was split by their noise. Adonijah and all the guests who were
This is such a party, eh? Like that again. This seems like a hip hop music video. The earth split because the music was so loud.
Adonijah and all the guests who were with him heard it as they finished feasting. And then Yoav heard the sound of the trumpet. He said, What does this uproar in the city mean? While he was still speaking, behold, Jonathan, the son of Abiathar the priest, came. And Adonijah said, Come in, for you are a worthy man, and bring good news. Jonathan answered Adonijah, No, for our Lord King David has made Solomon king. And the king has sent with him Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and they had him ride on the king's mule. And Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet have anointed him king at Gihon, and they have gone up from their rejoicing, so that the city is in an uproar. This is the noise that you have heard. Solomon sits on the royal throne. Moreover, the king's servants came to congratulate our Lord King David, saying, May your God make the name of Solomon more famous than yours, and make his throne greater than your throne. And the king bowed himself on the bed. And the king also said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who has granted someone to sit on my throne this day, my own eyes seeing it.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I love this. It also, I think, based on how things happen at the same time, it can't be the same day. It has to be like a series of days, or like that they arrange for this conversation with David once they hear that it's about to happen. Because this is a lot of arranging all at once to make Solomon king. If we're supposed to take it as one day, it leaves in the imagination the idea that some level of planning has occurred.
Right.
I mean, they could have planned a lot of stuff, like, once David got all old and feeble, somebody might have started the planning for the big thing. But
Well, and it may be Avishag is the beginning of it, because it might be, if your father has a heart attack and he's like, I know people right now where people are in their late 80s and a health thing happens and people just say, well, it won't be long now, right?
Yeah.
So something's happened to David. He can't get warm. And people are just like, well, I think we're at the end now.
Right. It's interesting the difference between, because the two parties, because one involves, well, there's an actual anointing by the priest and the prophet, and then it's also like a celebration that it sounds like it includes the whole city or something. And it makes me think back to when we first started. Samuel said in order to be king, you needed approval from, you needed to be anointed. God wanted you to be there. The prophet wanted you to be there, and the people wanted you to be there.
That's a good point.
And so, yeah, it just seems like
Solomon's the one who has all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Solomon's the one who has all of it for sure.
A small comment. I'm always looking after Yoav. What is up to?
Of course.
And the question is asking, what is this? He hears the sound of the shofar, the sound of the trumpet, yeah. And is asking, why is the town in uproar? He doesn't hear the town being in uproar. He hears the shofar. The shofar can signal anything. It could signal the end of a 50-year period. It can signal a war. He knows what's going on.
I love it. All right, let's finish her off, shall we, Cassandra?
My own eye seeing it. Okay, so 49 down.
Yes. Yeah, let's go there.
Well, can I just make a quick interruption because I wasn't exactly sure where we were. I just want to support Yoav's assessment that David is a senile old man, because we're reading this. This is the literature of kings. I mean, literally, the book is called Kings. Right. So this should be the highest level of pomp and circumstance. The highest level. I mean, we're talking about God still exists on the world, at this time. So if you just go up to 48, what does David say? Someone to sit on my throne, who has granted someone. He doesn't even pronounce Solomon. He says, blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who has granted someone. Someone? No, you would say his name and his title, son of whatever. Someone. I mean, it's anyway, fun times.
That is interesting. Yeah. Well, and there was a promise given to David that someone would sit on his throne after him, and the importance of some kind of a line, some kind of lineage is a big deal at this point. Because why not just one king and call it an end? Thank you, Matt. David's problem is he has too many someones to sit on the throne.
Well, it is interesting, this whole thing, because it is this living succession where it happens, and and this is you have the same thing with Isaac and blessing his sons, trying to put Esau on top, and Jacob, blessing his sons and stuff. It's like this is part of the tradition of Israel here, that you do it in this way. And but it's like, I wonder, with this thing of someone, that if that's David's fear, that someone will sit there, but he's not he's thinking in a different way than about picking favorites or wanting it to be Solomon, because obviously, because he is doing it as a active, the last act of being king, he could do this at any time, but he's going, presumably, you want to, if you pick the wrong guy and you do it at the wrong time, it's not going to be good for you, as the king. So, so I mean, it's a tough thing. So I mean, I don't. But I did want to say, I think it is kind of an interesting tradition that is reflected in the world of professional wrestling, because that is like
Absolutely.
the thing like that when somebody retires, a great the last gift that like a great wrestler has when they retire is that they can lose. They can put someone over, the rising star or whatever. And you don't go out on top. If you go out on top, you're selfish. If you go out, if your last act is to let someone pin you, pass on the torch, show that the new hero, then you retire as a legend or whatever. So it is kind of and it's different from kind of the traditional thing where you have to have these rules of succession because the king holds on to the throne until the last moments of of his death or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
As I read it, David looks at it as a punishment. As far as he is concerned, it wasn't supposed to be that way. He's supposed to die first, and then somebody gets to be the king after him. He having to actually abdicate. It's a form of punishment, and he's saying, "Well, it is a punishment then, but still, blessed be the Lord."
But
No,
it's also what King Saul should have done. Because Saul knew David was the anointed one, and he drew out this whole thing, and he ends up, killing himself at the end, trying to avoid the inevitable result of, God's choice. Whereas he could have, if he could have gotten over the fact that his son wasn't going to be the one, he could have been in control of that transfer of power. He could have done it well.
Yeah. Yep. And I agree with Matt.
Just
yeah.
to
Okay, go ahead, Jan.
tie back to my joke, because it's amazing how this works out. So if Solomon is Trump, then who is the leader before Trump? It's Biden. This is Biden. This is a guy who's like doesn't know what's going on and stuff. And technically, the word that he uses is he says my seed. So it's when it what?
Is that real? Who did that? Just the idea that it's just like, don't believe the election. Adonai is not. He's not actually king. It's not real. That election
Even though
was stolen. It was. It was.
Even though he had the
Solomon's all
podium
along.
that said office of the president elect or office of the heir apparent.
Yeah.
Set up, but.
Okay, Matt is a fan of Trump as Solomon. I know people that believe that Trump is David, and they actually said that that's why he had to lose, because he's made king, but then he's on the run, and he's going to come back and be in his glorious kingdom that second time around, where he's far more secure. So
yeah, and then Baron Trump is Solomon.
Well,
there we go.
One of those. So I have a cosmic horror opinion, which is like, if this is true, it's like, is Joab Bibi, and is Bibi gonna be killed at the tent of God like Joab is? So that's the real question, because things are going very south.
Things are going very south. I'm excited for the next chapter. Okay, Cassandra. Okay, this is what. Yeah, after the assassination attempt, religious Jews started talking about Mashiach ben Yosef. It was crazy. Okay, let's continue, shall we?
Just for the information, it's the second time that we got a Chotai missile.
Yes,
in the
middle of
time.
Bible study.
Yeah, they don't come every hour. You're lucky to have it two in a row.
Yeah. Wow. Go ahead.
Okay. Then all the guests of Adonijah trembled and rose, and each went his own way. And Adonijah feared Solomon, so he arose and went and took hold of the horns of the altar. Then it was told Solomon, behold, Adonijah fears King Solomon, For behold, he has laid hold of the horns of the altar, saying, Let King Solomon swear to me first that he will not put his servant to death with the sword. And Solomon said, If he will show himself a worthy man, not one of his hairs shall fall to the earth. But if wickedness is found in him, he shall die. So King Solomon sent, and they brought him down from the altar. And he came and paid homage to King Solomon. And Solomon said to him, Go to your house.
Bum, bum, bum. What a great ending.
Yeah, it's the second time we see that. Not one of your hairs shall fall to the earth.
Yep, absolutely. I was wondering if anyone was going to notice that. Which last time it didn't. So good on you.
That wasn't a conditional promise like this one though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I really do like the way that he bows himself before Solomon, and this is excellent drama.
Mm-hmm. He, what do you call it? He acquiesces. He gives in a lot quicker than Absalom probably would have.
Yeah.
Although I can kind of see "go down to your house" is a phrase that almost can feel like a knife in the back. Not David's house, not the house that God's building, yours.
Yeah.
It can sting a little bit.
I love the image of the people scattering like roaches, where it says they also leave all to their own, like going to their own places. You kind of get, it's a scattering. They all join together, and now they're just like, oh, it's the cops. Like that kind of an image. Yeah. And he calls himself your servant. Like he really is. And again, if he is the older brother, for the older brother to be saying to the younger, I am.
Yeah, it adds to this idea of if it was malicious or not. Or did he really just be like, well, I guess it's me now. It's my turn.
I'm gonna say, spoiler alert, his hairs do, touch the earth there at the end, and that's because there was wickedness in him.
Yeah. Well, he pushes it further. He pushes it further. Okay. I have to get going. And this was an excellent time. And we already lost Yoav. So, guys, what's even the point, Yanni, I am honored by your attendance. It was wonderful to have you. Good stuff. I look forward to you growing your hair and cutting it again. Sure, why not? Does anyone have any other closing bits they want to give before we go? Yoav, I'll give it to you as no one else is in danger of being blown up.
No, sorry. I mean, it is already been intercepted. My mind is a bit strayed. I'm just looking for news to see what was happening. I think I've given you my theory.
Yeah.
Very interesting chapter. I never understood it this way, so I'm glad I attended.
Sorry, which way was new to you? You seem to be knowledgeable on this.
I no, because I never thought about the inception theory. This is just not what I learned in school. Obvious when you read the text, but one never really reads the text in school.
I mean, I do think looking ahead. I think with what David says to his son in the next chapter, his rumors of his dementia and loss of mental faculties are greatly over exaggerated. So I think he was still pretty with it.
Yeah, I wanted to represent that theory, but I am on Team Solomon.
I just want to sit with the fact that we out-conspired Yoav for once.
Okay, yes.
You're on Team Solomon for now.
For now. Look, soon as... Anyway, no, I'm not going to go there. Good reason to be on his side right now.
One comment, I mean, the people who supported Solomon must have read some of his platform, some of his agenda beforehand. I mean, you're not going to appoint someone the king before you know what he's going to do.
It's going to be a great kingdom. We're going to talk to ants. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, but no, we're talking about real people. And I think it's meaningful that the Kreti Pleti, which is actually Philistines, were on Solomon's side. I think he already had international liberal agenda ready.
Yeah,
dude, he marries Pharaoh's daughter. Come on.
Yeah, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. It's the first sign that things are bad. He gets horses, guys. He gets horses from Egypt. Do you have any idea how bad that is? It's very bad.
Yes, it is bad, but it means that Egypt is already starting to recover, and it's not going to be many years until they invade.
Yes, it's an act like, Europe is dependent on Russia for oil. I'm sure nothing bad will ever come out of that. It's something like that. Cassandra, do you have any last thoughts you want to share? We just go through.
No, it was a pretty good study. I enjoyed it. Congratulations again to Michael and his new baby.
Woo!
To Yanni for being a Nazarite now, I think. Or something. Now that he cut his hair.
He cannot even eat the skins of grapes. Sorry. Good. Matt, last thoughts?
No, I think I'm good. It's a good time.
Sartori, last things for you to say?
I've said all there is to be said.
Will Yonatan the Third, do you have any other things to share? Okay. And Yoav is on mute and has said everything he wanted to. So guys, it was great. Had a wonderful time. Goodbye to everyone out there in the internet land. That cat creeps me right out. I hope everyone has a good time. And for Yoav, I hope everyone eats some dairy this weekend. This is a dairy feast. So please have some ice cream for Yoav, who has to eat frozen yogurt. Good day.